just twirling at the moment. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thanks very much for joining us. It's Vikki Burns and myself, Steph Wilson, and we're doing episode 2 of the Wellbeing and Challenges of Living with Chronic Illness. Now, at the end of our last session that we did, which is recorded, if you haven't seen it, feel free to go back and watch it. We each received some really nice feedback from different people along the way, and so not all of them were posted on Facebook, because when it comes to your own health and well-being, not everyone likes to broadcast it. And so what we thought we'd do, there's a couple of topics that we didn't cover on our last session, and so we thought we'd do the episode 2 and kind of follow up from there. So if you didn't see the last one, my name's Steph Wilson. I'm a life coach, spiritual energy healer, and I also deliver wellbeing workshops and personal development workshops as well. Alongside that, on a slightly different angle, I do business support, working with companies offering health, safety and wellbeing support with those. So that's my kind of official background from this topic point of view. Living with chronic illness. Since I was 16, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I also have osteoarthritis, and I've had that since I was 16. So as you can tell, I've had it for quite a while. And throughout that time, there's been ups and downs, and I think I've learned lessons along the way, which is part of the reason that we're offering these kind of chats today. So Vikki, do you want to do your introduction and let them know as to why you're able to talk about chronic illness?
Yes, hello everybody. Again, if you didn't see us last time, my name's Vikki. I have 2 parts to me at the moment. I am a probation officer, it's my day job, and I also am an ambassador for Tropic Skincare, which is a natural skincare company. And as with Steph, I live with chronic illness. I have multiple conditions, and I'm not going to bore you by listing them all now. My main ones are ME, colitis, arthritis, spinal stenosis. I could go on, but I'm not going to. I also, as a result of those, suffer with depression and anxiety. And I'm also a spiritual healer, which is how we met.
It was many moons ago.
Many moons ago. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling old now.
I know. For those people, if anyone is watching at the moment, please just drop us a comment and just say hi, just so we know who's out there. And feel free to like or tag anyone who you feel that this may be of interest to as we go forward. Like we did last time, I think one of the things is, if anyone does tune in or join us today, this is an open conversation. It's just not just Vikki and I having a chat. Do feel free to comment or share your experiences as we go forward. You okay with that, Vic?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the initial won't be a second. I just want to make sure that we are actually working. That comment's coming up. The norm is. Here we are. Hi, Ali.
Hi, Ali.
Thanks for tuning in.
Long time no see.
Just to let you know, there is normally about a 10-second delay. So from when anyone's commented, StreamYard did flash up at the very beginning that there was a few issues prior to going live. So I just wanted to make sure that we were working. Okay, right. So main topics today, we're going to be talking about time management from a living with chronic illness or chronic ill health point of view, and also the self-worth point of view. And I think that self-worth issue is something that not only applies to people with chronic illness, it can also apply to people on the peripherals as well.
Absolutely. So, everybody at this time and circumstance, isn't it?
Yeah. So if you're watching this for the purpose of someone else or someone else who you know who's got long-term ill health, do feel free to obviously take little bits back, or maybe able to drop them into a gradual conversation with them and just kind of, sometimes it's, what would you say? Would you say it's raising awareness so other people can understand you? Or
I think that people are so quick to come back with have you tried this diet? Have you tried this? Have you done this? Nobody with chronic health wants to hear that because they've tried everything. Believe me, they've tried everything. But it's really nice if somebody comes along and says, oh, speaking to such a body the other day, they've said that they've tried a cold heat treatment. It's new and it's working for them. And I thought maybe it was something we could look into for you. You know, rather than it's like basically showing that they're thinking about you and they want to help you without actually saying you're not doing everything you should be doing.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you on that one. Okay, so from a time management point of view, a lot of ill health that we've talked about last time, and I think also this time, has the common theme of issues such as either pain or the sideline issues, which are things like depression or fatigue and things like that. So when we're looking from a time management point of view, or what are the main things you'd feel would fall into that, Vikki?
I definitely think that your energy levels. I don't know. I don't think we've ever talked about spoons, have we, Steph?
Not on
Do you know
here,
that?
no.
Do you know about the spoon theory?
I've heard of the spoon theory, but do you
Yeah.
want to explain it for people who
Okay.
maybe haven't?
So the spoon theory is that everybody, regardless, has 12 spoons, and each of those spoons represents a level of an amount of energy. Okay. Every single person gets 12 spoons. Doesn't matter what you have or don't have. And everything you do costs some amount of your spoons. So, for example, if I didn't suffer with chronic health conditions, getting dressed in the morning, washing my face, cleaning my teeth, brushing my hair, maybe even having my breakfast might last, just take up one spoon, right? But being as I am and having fatigue as it being a major issue as well as pain, um, getting dressed can take me up to 3 of my spoons. Now, what that means is that I've only got 9 spoons left for the rest of the day because I only get 12 a day. You can't carry them over. They're not like sins on a diet. And it means then that those 9 spoons, I've got to be extremely careful with how I allocate them energy wise. And time management is all about that. It's how you accept that, yes, these are the issues that I've got with my health. What I need to do about it is see what I am able to do, see what is necessary for me to do, see how much energy and what type of energy it takes to do that. And what's really important, and as you've mentioned already, we're going to get onto self-worth. You've got to save at least 1 spoon a day to do something that makes you go, oh, that was nice. Because every day you should be doing something that makes you sigh with happiness. Maybe not to that extreme, but
Sigh with happiness.
yeah, you know. Oh. Yeah.
I shall look
Um,
out for that.
you should. Well, I do it every day. So you need at least 1 spoon for that. And for me, usually that doing that thing can take about 3 spoons. So I've already used 6 spoons by doing one necessary thing of
Mm-hmm.
getting dressed and one thing that I really like. And if we're being realistic, I've still got to do things like eat. If I didn't have my dog, then I wouldn't be, he wouldn't take up any spoons. But I'd like to try and clean my teeth and brush my hair when I can.
Mm.
And, these are things that other people do every day without thought. And I was one of those people. It used to be pain for me that was the main issue. And when it was pain, yes, time management was still very important, but not in the same degree that it is now. And
Mm.
it's all about balance and prioritizing.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at things from a business perspective, or if anyone thinks about when you've been in the workplace or anything like that, I think we all have these natural skills, and it's accepted that it is just standard that you can time manage and you can kind of categorize what you need to do where and when. But when it comes to actually starting or realizing that you've got to use those skills on your own energy levels, which I must admit, I'm quite lucky in that yes, I've got chronic ill health, and there are times when it does impact me heavily. But there's certain activities which I know, but I've got to make that call as to whether or not it's worth investing in
Absolutely.
those. I haven't been for a long time, but like used to be, if I went to the Trafford Centre, I know that I'd be me wiped out for the rest of the day and probably
Oh,
some of the day after.
and the day after
And
that.
so it's little things like that, or even gardening
Oh,
from a mobility point of view.
yeah.
I used to love weeding, weirdly. But then I realised that my judgment call was in the end, in that if I did the weeding, I felt really good about that
Yeah.
mentally. However, within less than half an hour and for the next
Yeah.
few days, my hands were like, oh,
Yeah.
and
And the rest.
getting told off by my partner saying you shouldn't
Yeah.
have done that. But it's really hard to actually have to accept that you have got limitations on some things. But
Absolutely.
in the same breath, I think it's really important that you've got to accept that you've also got the responsibility and ability to make the call as to what you do want to do. Sometimes you will kind of push yourself a little bit further, knowing that you'll take the hit of X, Y, Z afterwards.
Absolutely. And when you've got yourself a skill set and you're experienced at it, then you can make that call. And I often do that. And like, oh, I don't know, one day this week I've got, oh, I know, here's a good example. On Thursday, I have got a Zoom call with someone from Tropic at lunchtime. And then later on Thursday, my friend is coming round. She's going to bring some tea with her to save my energy levels. And we're going to have a real girly gossip. Now, both of those things to me are really important. They're
Yeah.
also really fun things. So they'll both make me sigh with happiness. However, I would never normally get two activities like that in one day. And that's because they're both high energy level activities, because they involve having conversations, following a discussion, knowing when to respond. These are all things that I'd never contemplated before
I think,
as,
yeah, I think
as needing.
people don't realise that the mental energy that's needed for someone who's got something like chronic fatigue or ME kind of diagnosis, or even if they're in like a full blown flare and things like that, there's that energy and effort that's needed is is huge. We all take it for granted. Like today, we're having a chat kind of thing, and I'm hoping it's not going to be too stressful on you. But it is. It's something that you wouldn't expect. Likewise, when you said before about getting up and brushing your teeth and getting dressed, for most people that's a given.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they were thinking of how much energy they had, it might be whether they're going for a 2 mile hike and it's that kind of a difference.
Exactly. And I mean, before, and I use this quite a lot, pre-ME, it's kind of like, 1900 BC. For me,
Yeah, the world
it's
before.
pre-ME, yeah. And so before that, do you know what? I'm having a classic ME moment now because I've just gone blank. Which happens to me quite often.
Okay.
Yes. So, I thought that I was really good at time management. I thought I was really good at prioritizing because I've lived with pain for as long as I can remember. I've been really good at going, no, probably shouldn't do that. Or, yeah, I'll push myself. I know I'll suffer afterwards, but it's absolutely worth it. And I know when I shouldn't have done something and when I should have done. And that's all fine. But when I got diagnosed with ME and I started getting my treatment that I have is like a talking therapy. And what I learned is that I knew nothing about time management. I knew nothing about pacing. And they said to me, you need to start pacing your life, starting off small, adding something every week or every month. My thoughts were, okay, so I'll have my normal day. So I'll get up, I'll have some breakfast. Let's say I'm not going to work at the moment. I'll read, so that's quite relaxing, you'd think. I'll have some lunch. I'll relax in the garden. Maybe I'll play with the dog, whatever. That would be my day. And I was thinking, right, so my pacing from there is to go, the next thing I'm going to add is a longer dog walk. But I was so wrong. And the way that I learned that I was wrong was not from people saying, you don't know what you're talking about. It was from them telling me to write a diary. And I thought this was going to be a real pain. But it was things like, it was diarising everything down to 9 a.m, wake up, 9:05, take tablets. And then on top of that, you then have to say, you have to start looking at what sort of energy you use. You're having a conversation like we're having now. So I'm using mental energy. Okay, it's got a proper name, but my words are going already. And for me, having a conversation where I know I need to make sense, like this one, is quite a high energy task.
Yeah.
Now, what I can't do is say I'll do all my normal tasks in the day and then I'll do this on top. What I have to do is say, which tasks are necessary for me to do today to enable me to still do this high energy level task?
Yeah.
So I had an earlier rest today to make sure that I was able to function better, although I am losing my words already.
But I think it is actually recognising what takes your energy is quite important, isn't it? And I think those little tasks that you mentioned, where you've got people who suffer from depression and things like that, I think they start to recognise the tasks when each time they have to look at something and it looks like a huge hill. Do you know, like I have to stand up and get out of bed or things like that. And I think it's recognising that lots of little tasks and all this planning that's needed and your awareness as to what you're able to do does kind of impact on the bigger picture. And you're being able to perform at the level that you'd want to going forward.
Absolutely.
And it's being choosy with what you do. Now, Paul's made it. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
So Paul joined us last time and there was issues around work. And he's struggling with lack of energy and focus. Again, I think from that point of view, where you're working with people who maybe don't fully understand the situation around your health, it's like signposting back to your doctors and making sure that you work with your medical team as much as possible, and get it logged on a fit note to actually identify it. Because if it is due to a health reason, we're quite lucky in this country in that there are certain things in place which can actually protect employment or support employment to a degree.
Absolutely. And I mean, I had some issues at work myself. Most of the people at my work are really understanding, but I had a temporary manager who was not in the slightest. And I ended up speaking to my specialist and saying, I need you to explain to her the basics because she's not listening to me. And she emailed this woman and sent employment and ME booklet. And it was just basic things like, having a rest is not sitting down and eating your lunch or engaging in social conversation.
I must
having
say,
a rest. Well, nobody
until I met
knows
you,
that.
until I met you, that was something I wasn't aware of. Go on
No,
then. So having
not.
a rest is?
Having a rest is doing absolutely nothing at all, looking at nothing, listening to nothing, eating nothing, right? It's basically the thing that you do as if you were going to go asleep. So it doesn't have to be lying down, but in order to rest, you lie down as if you're going to go asleep. If you fall asleep, then doesn't matter. But resting is not watching the telly, because watching the telly uses high levels of energy levels mentally. The number of times I have to rewind a film is ridiculous because I have no idea what's happened in 5 minutes. Reading a book, which I've always found to be very therapeutic, not relaxing because you've got to follow what you're reading or it doesn't make sense. Having a conversation with your friend. Now, I'm having a conversation with you now, but there are other people there. I'll be having a conversation with a friend tomorrow night, but I'll still have to have an energy level that allows me to think, oh, is it my turn to speak? Do you know what I mean?
But it is. And I think there's yourself and I've got another friend as well who also has chronic fatigue. And I think it's recognising that it's almost like a battery. And once you start that activity, you can almost see it like a fast drain.
Absolutely.
And so from someone who's around supporting people with this type of issue, sometimes it might be just openly asking whoever's got the condition as to how it affects them. Are they okay? Like, if you're going to meet
Yeah.
up, maybe arrange a shorter meeting or a shorter catch up. Um, Maybe have a coffee instead of a whole day together at weekend and going shopping. So it's that kind of a just being willing or a bit or able to just adapt your
And
approach to friendships. And on that front, I know we're dropping a little bit into the next topic that we're going to be moving on to. But friendships are huge, aren't they? The importance of friendships and support, I'd say, are hugely significant. And so
absolutely. You
it
know, I mean, sorry, I'm interrupting you.
no, not at all.
I know I now have an inner circle of friends. There are 7 people in it,
In a
right?
circle. It sounds like
Yeah.
that. Are you in the, what is it, the family circle?
Oh,
There's a film.
yes,
I
in
can't
Meet the
think what it is.
Fockers. Yes,
That's
I
the
do.
one.
Yeah, I know it well. Gosh, you've watched that film, haven't you? You don't
I
watch
know.
films. Anyway, I'm going off one. Yeah, so I have an inner circle with 7 people in it. Before that, I had friends here, there, and everywhere, acquaintances here, there, and everywhere, and because I considered everybody to be a sort of equal level, I got very upset when people weren't understanding. I struggled with when I'd say to somebody, no, I can't see you that night because I've actually got a phone call that day. The people that go, well, what difference does that make? You know?
Yeah. What kind of
Um,
excuse is that?
yeah, exactly. Sounds
Yeah.
really bizarre. And to be fair, it does sound really bizarre if
Yeah.
you're not understanding. But what I've done is I've brought together this collection of 7 people, and each person understands an element, if not more, of one of my conditions. They all understand that I have pain and I have fatigue. They all know that I'm very good at pretending to not be in pain and to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But what's happened is from saying to me, is there anything I can do to help you? And me going, oh, that's a minefield. It's come to the point where I have one friend, for example, I have a friend who's coming around on Thursday night, and she comes around regularly, and she either makes my tea or she brings me some food, and we sit and eat together, and she clears up afterwards, because that's a nightmare in itself. If somebody
Yeah.
comes around with your tea and you think, oh, I'm
Yeah.
not going to clean up,
But
you
that'd
know?
just be done naturally, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
It's not done
absolutely.
like I'm doing this for you. It's just done in a supportive friendship
Yeah,
way, and that balance is there.
absolutely. But that, to me, I don't think she realizes how much that helps me. It's absolutely massive, because for one day of that week, I do not need to think about, have
Preparing
I got
tea.
any food? Have I got the energy to prepare it? Is it going to be toast or cereal again because I can't do anything else? That
Mm.
one day I can eat, and I can eat to my heart's content,
Yeah.
and it's things like that that you find in those friends. People offer things all the time, and I don't think we take them up on them half the time.
Yeah. I know we've got Ali and Paul watching, I think, still. I'm assuming that's the 2 who's still on. But if you've got any input on that, or do you, it's maybe open up the question, do you have friends who you can turn to on bad days, no matter what your condition? It may not even be an official long-term chronic ill health or anything like that, but do you have that kind of support there where if you're having a bad day and you're thinking, actually, oh, this is getting a bit too much, or no one understands me, those type of days, do you are there people out there who you can actually turn to? Um, Hopefully the answer is yes. But if not, maybe it's having a look around your friendship groups at the moment, and maybe seeing if there is anyone who you think maybe it's worth investing that little bit more time with, to try
Yeah,
and build up or strengthen that relationship, because um, it is that kind of importance, isn't it? I think it's key, really. It might be a friend, it might be a family member, but somebody, having someone you can turn to. I know there's lots of helplines out there, but you, as a first point of call, I'd normally say try and go on that personal thing. I've
absolutely.
just got a comment come up. Ali, can I ask, have you got any ideas for treating painful joints, especially painful hands. Snap. Especially my joints and my fingers. It's maybe not a top tip, but I'd say something I like to do when I've got bad hands is offer to wash up or do the washing up, because it's like on your own little therapy treatment in the water.
Really?
Yeah, like traditional washing up, obviously not loading a dishwasher.
Obviously.
But yeah, so things like that. Vikki, you used to have some, was it compression gloves you used? And
I have some fantastic gloves. I only got one to hand, but I have got one to hand. It just looks like a fingerless glove. I actually got mine online. I'm not going to say the place because I'll probably get told off. However, if you can get a referral to a pain management specialist through your GP, you'll be able to get a pair for free. Otherwise, you can always drop me a line and I'll let you know where I got them from. They are really good. They do help. In fact, I found myself taking them off earlier than I thought would. Much better than these. Much better than these, even with the piece of metal inside, which is a support, but it doesn't actually enable you to do anything.
no, I'd say that the wrist support that you've got there helps from when you've on days where I've got shooter pains and you try and pick anything up and it feels like you're being electrocuted up your arm.
Or you can't bend anything.
Yeah, actually putting those on your hand, around your wrist. But it is a wrist support for a reason. It's not there for your knuckles.
Absolutely,
and things.
It's not there for your fingers. So
no.
This is brilliant for your fingers. And I mean, this is the small one because I have diddy hands. And the other thing for me is anything cold. I know you mentioned washing up and heat. When my joints are bad and they start to sort of lock in place, they are usually very hot, and I almost think if I put an ice cube on them they'd feel better, but I usually can't pick an ice cube up. So I'll try, and I've got very easy taps downstairs, switch those on and run my hands into the cold water, or just sit them in a bowl of cold water. Is quite relaxing.
Okay. She said she does do that, but the pain works her up in the night. If it's waking up in the night, my top tip for that one is BioFreeze. It's a spray you can get online. Fantastic.
If you can press the nozzle, though.
Yeah, you do need to be able to press the nozzle. There is a roller version, but I found the roller version difficult for what I needed. I found the spray one slightly easier.
That one.
The one I use is a spray. Don't put it near your eyes. It stings if it goes in them, like hell.
Yeah.
But squirt it, leave it for a few minutes, and then it feels like it goes on fire. Or depending what mood it's in, it'll go the opposite way and almost feels like it's freezing, and it gives you this kind of a numbing sensation.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it actually helps you sleep. You're able to actually switch. Like I float off with it afterwards. Not because of. Yeah, it's just a different approach. So
cherry stones are really good as well. You know, you can get cherry stones in a pillow that you heat. You put it over your hands. You can put it anywhere that you're in pain. I don't know what it is about the stones. I don't know what it is about the stones, but they're there's something within them. And in Spain, they created a mud out of these cherry stones. And it is really, really good. It's quite expensive. Again, you can get it online. You rub it in, and you've got filthy hands, but it just takes the edge off, because nothing's going to make it go away. We've learned that, haven't we? But it's just finding ways to manage and take that edge off, and that does help me quite a lot when I can find it.
Yeah. Alice also just said that she has had hot wax on your hands before. I was actually speaking to my specialist nurse the other day, and I've been referred over to the hand unit, only because I wanted a new brace that Vikki was waving around before from the other hand. And she was saying that she doesn't know where they stand at the moment with COVID. However, I believe over at Wrightington that's one of the things that they actually offer, hot wax ones, which I thought you had to pay for it, the beauticians.
I've only had that on my feet.
Yeah, and normally she leaves me in the gloves for a bit longer because I'm just enjoying it. I'll go, it's all right, just leave me for another few minutes. It's been a while since I've treated myself to that, but yeah, as I'm currently in a flare, maybe that's something I need to do, book myself in for that. Just on a different angle, Ali, you've mentioned that it didn't, obviously your gloves aren't good for work. what kind of activities are you doing? And whilst you're replying to that, Paul's commented, and he was saying about not necessarily having someone close to be able to talk to. He's got a son, but that's maybe not
an appropriate.
he doesn't want to burden them.
No, I get completely.
And his kind of go-to at the moment is focusing on his responsibilities with his children, which what keeps him safe in desperate times, which that's a nice thing to do, to actually have a focus and that kind of link and anchor point, to know that there is someone out
there. There is someone. I mean,
yeah.
One of the things that I used to think was silly that I would never do, but then changed my mind rapidly, was join a local group to do with whatever condition it is. There are lots to do with colitis around here, which I would never have known about.
No.
There's, things like that.
Earlier on, Paul said he was struggling around depression and anxiety. So I think there are groups, maybe more online at the moment. I don't know, which are as in like a chat group.
If you have a look, Paul, on the big white wall, you have to put your postcode in. I don't know where you live, depending on if you're a PR, you could be able to use it. If you're not, come back to me and I'll give you a postcode you can use to get on it. They have experts on there, but they also have lots of other people you can do. They also do some little sort of courses, really. They're one-to-one courses. And it's just to see whether or not maybe you might need to direct yourself towards a GP or to see someone like Steph, to look at what the triggers are and how you can manage them.
Yeah, and just on that, Vikki, I'm not medically trained. I do the life coaching side, but I know what you're saying. But there's also what's it called over at Breathe Therapies, or Seed over at Preston.
Right, yes, in Preston.
They do supportive initial sessions, but obviously it's one of those things. It's just being vigilant and maybe keeping your eyes open around you at the moment, and maybe having a look and thinking, like, who is there out there who I might be able to try and build on a relationship? Or because often I don't know about you, Vikki, I think we keep all this stuff to ourselves and everyone's having the same thoughts, and so sometimes just being open-minded, or maybe starting a random conversation with someone, not on a deep level, obviously I don't want to freak people out, but it's just starting to build those bridges. Because people don't necessarily talk. Right.
And the people don't necessarily know either, do they?
Right. Just running through the comments. Yes, I think that was to do with the wax on my hands, which you've inspired me. I think I will.
And you've inspired me as well.
I think that is a personal treat, that one.
Yeah.
I meant to ask, what kind of job do you do? Patient care. Oh, Ali was also a healer. That's what I recognise
her.
Well, once this COVID eases off, Ali, you'll have to drop me a message and we'll meet up for a coffee or something.
We can do a double whammy if you like.
Oh, Vikki, that means Vikki's up for meeting up as well. You're normally up for meeting up for a coffee anyway, aren't you? Vikki, that was you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I haven't seen Ali for ages. So drop me a message when you're free, if you're not working in the days and stuff. Paul was jumping back. Yeah. When we talked about him working with his family, or thinking of his family in difficult times.
Oh, Ali, yes, completely. Spondyloarthropathy, which I can't even say properly, is linked to Crohn's disease.
I'll leave that to you.
If you speak to your, hopefully, I'm hoping you've got one, your IBD nurse, and let them know that it's becoming problematic. I don't know what treatment you're on, and I'm not going to go into that now, but I have a double sort of treatment. So I take injections similar to Steph. My injections are both for my colitis and my arthritis, and they do help both. But your IBD nurse can get you a referral so that you're not waiting forever. But yeah, joint pain is very, very commonly associated with Crohn's and colitis.
Yeah. Paul was saying thank you, and he's based over in Leyland.
Oh, that's good. You'll be able to access Big White Wall then.
Okay. I'll have to pop this one up, Paul. I hope you don't mind. I know you've put it on a public wall anyway. There's no way I can pronounce all that, so.
Transactional and analysis psychotherapy. Neither can I.
I think talking about, obviously you've mentioned something that doesn't help. It is that kind of try it and see with a lot of conditions. There's so many people at the moment. I think it's a huge issue nationally and globally. I think ill health and long-term ill health is quite a serious issue, isn't it? Like, I know we're all living longer, but these things aren't things that are just happening when people get old. It's like almost embedded within natural lifestyle. And I think I mentioned last time, like, most people who you know are taking some kind of medication.
Oh yes.
And it's just quite surreal, really. So it is very much try it and see. Maybe if you hear something new mentioned, maybe going, what's that about? Maybe be willing to be open-minded and just look into things a little bit.
And I think I agree with the open-minded thing, but it's hard to find a balance between, oh, for goodness sake, are you going to stop giving me diet ideas, to, oh, well, you know what, maybe it is a good thing for me to try that. And sometimes we need to hear it rather than from a friend, from a professional. I seem to listen more when a professional says something to me than when a friend does, because I think, well, they know what they're talking about.
That sounds like my dad, that. You can tell my dad things till the cows come home. And yet he sees a doctor and he's like, all right, I've got to do that now. And it's like, but yes. So where else are we up to? So, oh, Ali saying, yeah, always happy to meet up with us. So that's good. Okay. CBT is the only solution on the NHS. Sorry, this is Paul.
Well, it's not, because I got
person-centered approach, or doesn't get to root cause. Right. I'll do, Paul, I'll drop you the link for the. They do a 20-minute initial consultation, I think, free of charge. Someone over in Preston, so it might be worth having a chat to those. But it's about being open-minded, trying new things. Not everything has to go down the medical route.
No.
And I think, just moving on to the self-worth bit, a lot of things do tend to be very deep with regards our history or experiences that we've had in life.
Absolutely. It's very easy, isn't it, to sort of go, oh no, I don't want to try that, because previously I tried it for something else, it didn't work.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Just before we move on to self-worth bit, financial links and things around treatments can be a bit of a barrier at times. I get that, Paul. I really do. Ali, you asked about treatments on infusions every 8 weeks. I know, don't
Definitely.
you just feel like a smarty tube, don't you? If you jump up and down at night.
I hear you.
Yeah, so maybe a phone call to the IBD nurse. It is. And I think we're super lucky here in the UK in that we've got the NHS, one of the whingy groups that I peep at every so often on Facebook. Vikki knows what I'm on about with that, because
I do, yes.
Some of these support groups are so
I
depressing.
Had to leave.
They kind of take you so low. It's like, no chance.
Yeah.
But it's one of those. There's got an awful lot of people who's on it from America, and people are really struggling and saying that they can't pay for the treatment and this and the other.
Of course.
And I kind of thought, oh my God, if I didn't have the NHS support, I don't know what
I'd do.
I'd be a seized up little ball in a corner, I think.
I would, yes. In a cardboard box, probably.
Yes. Right, jumping on to self-worth.
Okay.
Before we started today, I actually said to Vikki, I said, I don't think this session's going to be anywhere near as long as the last one. How wrong was I? Time's flying by.
It's my fault. Sorry, I'm babbling again.
No, it's not. That's the idea of doing them, because I think, like we said before, it's actually having someone to talk to, or being able to have a conversation of people who actually understand what you're on about.
Yeah, of course.
Because if, I'll mention it because I know we mentioned it last time, and I think we're moving into something which is going to be relevant to anyway. But if you speak about it all the time at home, you feel like you're whinging.
You do, don't you?
Or you feel like you're just complaining again, and so I think the only time they normally actually hear when there's big issues is when it's like serious.
Yeah, I really need to go to the hospital. I'm going to have to tell somebody.
Yeah. Or when you think, or you've been snapping someone's head off. That's the other thing.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
If you're in the care, if you're working in care at the moment and stuff, on a bad day, you must be pretty good at putting on the smile
You must
and
have the
doing that.
patience of a saint.
Yeah, doing that smile kind of approach.
Yes.
And they'll go, "How are you?" "Oh, I'm fine." It's that kind of a brush off kind of.
It's kind of the pre-COVID face mask thing, isn't it? You know, we all wore a face mask before COVID, saying how fine we were and yes,
Yeah,
everything's okay, and never actually saying when someone says, "How are you?" Well, actually, I'm really rubbish today.
yeah. Because if you started going, well, actually,
Yeah,
you'd be
can
there
you
for like a few
imagine?
hours, wouldn't you? I don't think
And the
it's quite.
rest.
Don't think it's quite what they want. Okay, so self-worth, um, self-worth, self-esteem, probably hand in hand. Would you say?
I mean, I think everything overlaps, doesn't it? But I think for me, self-worth, self-esteem, self-care, it all overlaps with acceptance. Um, for me specifically, it does. I think it's taken me a long time, and my journey has been very roller coaster-esque in that, you know, I've had my good moments where I've thought, oh, I just have this condition. And of course, there's somebody knocking at my door now. Um, and and I've kind of ignored the condition as just oh, well, I'll deal with it when it comes up. To moments where I think this is my life. My life is pain. My life is fatigue, and that's not a good place to be. And it's taken me a lot of trial and error, a lot of trying different things, seeing what works and what doesn't work, and breaking them down into, well, that bit works for me, but that bit doesn't, for me to sort of realize that actually, if I don't look after myself and care about myself, who else is going to want to do it? You know, and I'm on my own, I'm single, I'm happy with that. But you you know, you always need, it's like it's there's a song, I'm sorry, I know I'm rambling now. There is a song by Helen Reddy, and it's called Best Friend, and this whole song is about if you were your own best friend, what you would do for you. And if you take a
Yeah,
step back now and think about your closest friends or family members and the things that you do for them and the things that you say to them, and imagine that they are saying those things to you, you know, you treat yourself a whole lot better.
yeah. I think it's so easy to give people advice or to advise someone else, but when it's about yourself, it's like if you saw someone who you knew and they struggled carrying shopping bags in, for example,
Mm.
you'd say, why don't you ask for help, knowing that you've
Yeah,
got someone inside who's maybe fit and able.
yeah.
Um, and then you might reflect it back on yourself and think, actually, I don't. And it's that
Oh
kind of
no.
a what do you do kind of thing. I know we've all got these quick shortcuts and things that we do to try and improvise, or I tend to
Yeah,
carry my stuff
manage.
on my arm as opposed to on my knuckles because my knuckles don't take it. Maybe that's something we could actually, if there's enough people who'd be willing to have a chat on screen, maybe that's what your top tips are for shortcutting or supporting
Oh
things.
yeah,
That'd
completely.
be, if there's anyone who's up for that, definitely we could have that chat.
But
So
as I said to my friend yesterday, do as I say, not as I do.
yeah, Ali's replying from before saying yes. With patience, she has lots of yeah. She just pretends it's not there, which is what you've got to do. I think there are days where I know there's that weird phrase where people say "fake it till you make it,"
Mm.
but whilst it's okay in short supply, you've got to allow yourself time to recognise and realise that actually you do need to look after yourself as well. And I think in my life, especially, I've had to kind of take certain decisions and be able to actually change my career routes and things to be able to
Hmm.
kind of be comfortable and be able to support myself long term. Um, Vikki, you mentioned something before about being single and stuff. So not talking about you, yes, but talking on the bigger picture about relationships and things.
Hmm.
Something which I there's quite a few people who I know who's made reference, or I've made even I've years ago. I in my head like who'd actually want who'd
Oh
accept
yeah.
me
Who
if
take
that
the
makes sense.
baggage?
Yeah. Like, no one's going to be able to cope with me. And I don't mean just because of my personality, which for those people who dare even pass that over your memory, it's when
Oops.
you don't see yourself in the neutral light, do you?
You don't
I
know. You
think you
think
kind of see yourself as you plus the burden of X, Y,
baggage.
Z, and I think that's the problem. You've got to be
Well,
really careful in that nobody's perfect. They might not have chronic ill health, but they might have
well,
other
this is it.
issues. And in the relationships I've been in the past and stuff, you do tend to find that through one thing and another, everything will balance out anyway.
Do you know what? I mean, I didn't know you were going to say that. And it's
No.
funny because I had this exact conversation yesterday. I spoke to somebody yesterday I have not spoken to for over a year. And we were talking about the single scene and how he said, everybody's got baggage, Vikki. And I was like, well, no, they don't. Because I've always thought of baggage as being like problematic
Your
health
baggage.
conditions, my baggage.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me go, what? This is coming from someone who I thought to be quite a wise person. I was like, maybe he's right. Maybe I've been looking at this in the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, this morning I was talking to another one of my friends. I've been very popular this week.
Wow.
I know, it's very unusual. I was talking to another of my friends, and she said, Vikki, do you not ever just take a step back and say, I am beautiful, I am so funny, I am so kind and caring? She said, because you need to. She said, instead of thinking, what baggage am I taking to this with me? Start thinking about the nice things about yourself. And to be fair, most of the time, you know, especially this week, I'm having a good week and I'm thinking, yeah, I am a really awesome person. But we don't always think that. And,
Yeah.
you know, there are times when you think, like I have what the professional word is a rollator. I don't like that. I have a walker that
All
I
right.
need to use sometimes.
Yes.
And I think this is going to bring my street cred down.
I know.
Do I
And there's
want to take
no
this?
way at all to jazz them up. No way.
Well, I've put stickers on them. I've put little words on them. My specialist said you can paint it, do whatever you like with it. But you're right. It still looks like an old lady thing.
Yeah.
What do you do? And then I had my 40th birthday last year. I was so worried when I went in there and I realised that it was going to be a long night because all my very good friends were there. And I was thinking, how am I going to manage? And thinking I was going somewhere else, I had my walker in the car and I sent someone to get it for me. And I used it. And do you know what? Even though there were people there that I hadn't seen for years, no single person said to me, what's that about? Nobody questioned it. And I was
Yeah.
ready. I was ready for the question and nobody mentioned it. So I think I project that baggage that,
We see what we think other people might see, but
yeah.
it isn't always a true reflection. Now, just catching up on comments. Hi, Yvonne. Not heard or seen you for years. Used to know you from over at Purple Light and Chorley.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Paul, when we was talking about songs and things before, always look on the bright side of life. Yeah, I think sometimes you've got to kind of fight. Actually, on that front, I think we mentioned it last time as well. Certain music songs can really lift your mood,
Oh, I have a
and
playlist of strong,
yeah,
happy songs.
yeah. If you need pulling up, there's normally a song out there. Yvonne, you did years ago. I'm not sure what that was. I'm really sorry. You made reference to mental health issues, yep. And then we've got Ali. I think it's about the person you want to be with, not their disability. It really shouldn't matter. Which,
No, and we all think that. We all agree with you. And yet we're
yeah,
so self-critical, aren't we?
yeah, it is. And I think it's so much easier to make statements like that, Ali, which I know you believe, and I believe that when you're talking about someone else. But when it comes to the crunch, there's always going to be, because actually on that depressing group I was in,
Yeah.
someone actually said that they'd been chatting to someone on this online dating thing, and for something like 6 weeks, but she hadn't told them, and to her it was like this big guilty secret.
Yes, I
And you
completely
kind of,
understand.
and it's that kind of you'd say what you did for a living. I know
Mm.
you wouldn't necessarily throw it in the mix, but you might say, oh, I'm having an achy day today, I've got I've got
Yeah.
dodgy joints. You don't necessarily have to give them the war and peace of all your medical history, but or I'm having a bit of a down day today, and I think a lot of people would recognise that as making reference to maybe depression,
Yeah,
along
of
those lines.
course.
So if it's more the mental health issues and things, um, and I think when you say things like that, especially on the mental health side, it is becoming more and more recognised and
Yeah,
no longer such a taboo subject.
absolutely. Yeah, people are much more open about talking now.
They are, and I think it's really important. Talking of which, was it last week? I think it was World
It was,
Suicide
yeah,
Awareness Day.
awareness day, yeah,
Um,
of course.
so it's slowly things are getting. Ah, Yvonne, yes. When I said before, it came up with I did years ago.
Oh, yes, of
Yeah,
course. Now,
so it was
yes,
having
yeah,
that kind of self doubt about thinking no one would
yeah,
actually accept you. I get that now. Um, baggage, accept, etc. Yeah, it
yeah,
is. You kind of see yourself as burden more than anyone else would be. And
yeah,
yeah, I could almost guarantee if they rode everyone up in a line and gave everyone to score themselves, everyone would way underscore yourself
yeah.
and probably really high score other people. So
Yeah.
that self worth. So what can we do to kind of focus or realize how good you are?
I think positive self-talk is a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
I think if like I was saying before about you pretend you're your own best friend, what would you say? What would you say to you if you were your own best friend? Because I know that if I was talking to you, Steph, and I said, "Oh, and I don't think this is going to go well because when he finds out about all my conditions, things are," and you'd say, "Well, what are you talking about? What's that got to do with anything?" Or, "Don't think you're so important." But so it is things like that, and we talk ourselves into a position. Well, why not talk yourself out of that position? And that's something that I've been doing a lot, sort of in the last 12 months, 18 months. Positive self-talk. If you have anybody who suffers with anxiety, one of the major symptoms of anxiety is negative self-talk, and it's about making something bigger and bigger and bigger. Think about what the issue is, write it down, write down what the worst thing, what is it that you're thinking, write it down, and then write down what the reality is. I mean,
And yeah, I know when I do coaching with people, sometimes they'll kind of say what this big fear is, and then you kind of say, "Well, is it true?"
yeah,
And they'll go, "Yeah, well," and go, "Yeah, but is it true?" And they're like, "Well, I don't know." Well, if you
no,
don't know, why have you got? You can't like roadblock something if you've no idea what
exactly.
anything. It could be anything. It might be
But
that other person really needs someone like you in their life, or
yeah, but it's
um,
so easily done, isn't it? And I think very
super
much,
easy.
I don't know whether it is a very British thing or just a very human thing, but we do that. And actually,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, you need to look in the mirror every day and say something good about yourself. Stop that negative self-talk and start accepting how beautiful you are inside and outside. You look at those things, those characteristics, because your friends, all the people that you pick in your life, your partners, your friends, etc., you
Mm-hmm.
pick them because of characteristics that are in yourself that you like. You just don't realize that you're doing it at the time. Look in the mirror and say, that thing in my partner that I love, oh, how kind they are. I'm a really kind person. Tell yourself that every day and you will believe it.
Okay. Thanks, Sally, for joining us today and obviously inputting as well. Go and ring your IBD nurse.
Yes,
And if
do, please.
and if you want to catch up or a coffee with either me or Vicky or both, give us a shout. You've got my contacts.
Bye,
Um,
Ali.
okay. So yeah. So obviously it's self belief into it and
Yeah,
recognizing. I know you've heard me made reference before in either different courses or coaching sessions and things that I've done with you at different times. It's also recognizing that you are enough,
yeah.
and to say that phrase and look in a mirror and say it and truly believe it is huge, because most people would
Yeah,
say it and for some reason mentally you dismiss it instantly.
you don't believe it.
No, it's something that you really do need to. You need to be able to accept yourself
Yeah,
for
of course.
who you are and see your strengths, because everyone's gone through shit in their life, so to speak.
Yeah.
It may be different forms. For some of us, it may be health. For others, it may be more traumatic events. It could be far wide.
A whole wealth of issues, yeah.
But at the end of the day, each of those experiences and how you deal with them or how you cope and move forward with them, it's going to take effort for some people. But
it shapes
it's like
who you are.
It is, and you can draw on the positives from it, can't you?
And
Or even recognise what you didn't like from the experiences you've had in the past and bring them into making sure that you don't relive them and jar that kind of natural path to a new setting.
You know what? Even if you think, I can't find anything positive in all of those, here's one that you might not have thought of. Mm-hmm. You are here today, listening to this, watching this, engaging with this, and you are here today because you have got through those experiences, and never forget that.
Yeah, definitely. So we've talked about friendships, we've talked about finding positives. The other thing is, I think, on a common strength, is recognizing that we all know what it's like. So be nice and actually show someone else that support.
Yeah, be compassionate.
Who's out there. If you've learned the hard way by maybe realizing that you've become isolated for some reason, or you're not out there as much as you want to be, maybe start to take steps to reignite what makes you tick. But to be a nice, caring person costs absolutely nothing.
Of course.
And I know I know there's cliches and things where they say about one person smiles and it kind of spreads across the world.
It really does, though. It does. Smiles do breed smiles.
If you think of it the other way around, road rage spreads road rage.
Oh, gosh,
so if you can see it in a more negative perspective, we'll hike it over to the positive side and do that side. There was something else for those people who's got physical or mental kind of long-term illnesses. I think from a self-worth, self-compassion point of view, it's recognising everything that your body has actually done.
Yeah.
Your body is amazing in everything it's coping with on a day-to-day basis. Your mind, obviously, frequently tells your body what it should do. So maybe take control of your mind sometimes. And there's lots of things out there. I am aware we're running out of time again. So are there any tie-up bits that you wanted to make, Vikki, or before we draw to a close?
Just pretty much what I've said already. It is that, whoever you are and whatever you've been through, you have made it through that. You're not Wonder Woman or Superman, and no one expects you to be except for you. And that's because of the experiences that you've had. But you're not that person. Instead of trying to be Superman or Wonder Woman, start being your own best friend.
Yes, and actually do self-compassion and just kind of praise yourself, and all as well as praising yourself. I think it's also being comforting to yourself. It's being kind to yourself. That's the word. Yes.
Yeah.
Just make sure I've covered most of the things. Yeah, I think that's most of the things that we wanted to cover. Just as a brief kind of roundup, as you know, I do life coaching. My diary is now opened up for October. So if you know anyone who you feel may benefit from support, be it through the coffee and coaching sessions or the deep coaching sessions that I do, feel free to visit my website for more information on that. And that's www.stephwilsonevolve, spelled with a PH, not an F. So stephwilsonevolve.co.uk. So that's available. And also keep your eyes open with regards the October group meditation course that'll be posting out about. We've recently done the mindfulness course, the 5-day mindfulness course, and that went really, really well. And we've had some lovely feedback on how it's actually helped people improve sleep, one of them said, which was lovely, and also actually help someone feel calmer who's struggling with anxieties and stuff. And it really does make a difference. You can work with your mind to help overall kind of challenges that we have on a day-to-day basis. Vikki, do you want to just mention about your
Yes. Now, by all means, please don't come into my day job, which is, I've already mentioned, I'm a probation officer by day. I do not want to see you at work. However,
Yeah.
The other side of things, yes, I do sell skincare, cosmetics, and makeup. It's all vegan, it's all cruelty free, it's all natural, and it's absolutely amazing. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. Believe me. You can catch me on Facebook. You can go to Tropic Skincare with Vikki B. If you do add yourself onto there, I will put you then on my private group where we have offers and things. And or you can go and visit my web shop, which is www.tropicskincare.com/Vikki Burns, and it's VIKKI BURNS.
Okay, I'll get those off you afterwards, Vikki, and we'll pop them in once this is posted up to Facebook. We'll put them in the comments. So if you want to catch up with those,
Super.
just visit my Facebook page, which is what you're watching us on today, and you'll be able to click through on those links. So thank you very much to everybody who's joined us
Thank
today.
you.
If you're watching us on replay, obviously we'd love to see your comments as well. If there's anything that you want to share with us or ask us, we're available. So please do just mention those on there. And going forward, we'll see what else inspires us and if we're meant to be having further chats. Okay, so take care. Have a lovely day. Bye,
Absolutely.
Yvonne. And bye, Paul. All right. Bye.
Bye.